Okay, here we go. Happy Monday. Hey, everybody. Wanted to do a nice surprise catch up today. Wanted to talk about Keystone Species. So settle on in, grab yourself a coffee, tea, water, whatever it may be that you enjoy. And today we're going to talk a little bit about Keystone Species, how they are important within our biodiversity and our planet's existence. So, one of the most amazing things to learn about while making Harambe is the fact that Western lowland gorillas are keystone species. Now, what is a keystone species, you might ask? Well, I think the best person to actually answer that would be Ian Redman himself.
And gorillas are keystone species in their habitat, by which I mean, if you think of when they build an arch, they build a wooden arch, they put the stones on top of the wooden arch, and the last stone is the one in the middle called the keystone, and then you can take the wood away and the stones stay upright. Keystones are really important. Take them away, the whole thing collapses. So applying that to the ecology of a complex ecosystem like a forest, some species are so important with so many ecologically dependent other species that if you remove that one species, the ecosystem would certainly degrade, if not completely collapse. So if we think of them as like the gardeners of the forest, they're pruning the trees, they're thinning out the vegetation.
The gardeners of the forest. Now, just think about that for a second and think about the attachment to the rest of the biodiversity. So if they are a keystone species, which means that the biodiversity of the area depends on them in one way or another. And for gorillas, it's seed dispersal. So they eat a lot of the seeds and then they disperse them in their manure, which, is amazing fertilizer. And so they're actually one of the reasons why forests regenerate and regrow. So the health of a forest depends heavily on if they have seed dispersal agents. And one of the most important ones is the gorilla. Now, as the gorilla starts to disappear in the wild, even though they're thriving within the cement walls of zoos, captivity areas, if they continue to dwindle in the wild, we will lose that biodiversity, which means the forests will disappear. Now, how does that attach to what we're talking about? So the more trees we have, the more carbon that we can sequester. So trees naturally will sequester carbon. So the more seed dispersal agents and the better off our forests are, is the better off that our air will be and our environment will be and our entire atmosphere. So to help combat what's going on right now with climate change and what's going on right now with our carbon rising and rising and rising, our levels are rising and rising as our keystone species disappear. We need to rely on nature's solution, the gorillas and other keystone species, to put things back where they were. So I would love to hear other keystone species that you all are aware of or know about. I would love to talk a little bit more about them. There's a lot of surprising ones. Hey, Camilla, thanks for joining today. Great to see you on here. Yeah, isn't it amazing? Me too. And that's the amazing thing is people that fight for the animals all the time still haven't fully heard of keystone species. I did not hear about it until we started making the movie, and then Ian taught me about it. Just like in the clip was when I learned about keystone species as well. So they're so important. And there's many great examples too. We have gorillas, we have elephants are a keystone species, which also are dwindling away. Amazing ones that I thought were really cool would be, I believe, the starfish is a keystone species. You would never think about it. Manatees are another keystone species. So, it's a really, and they don't have to be animals. Mangroves are a keystone species. And there's a lot of other plants that are keystone species that we're also losing. So, it reminds us that everything is interconnected. And that's one thing that Harambe, his name is about interconnectedness. It's about everybody working together, being together, the community being ahead. Hey, Bethany, thanks for joining today. Great to see you on here. So Harambe, meaning that, you have to really think past people. So it's past the community working together. It's about the entire bio community working together. And that is every tree, every animal, every species, everything has a certain place. But without a keystone species, that place, as Ian says, would completely collapse. It would fall apart, guaranteed, if not completely collapse. So it's really important that we take care of our keystone species. So what are we doing? At the moment, the solution is that we have the animals in the wild that are keystone species that are disappearing. Then we have animals that are in concrete walls, whether they be zoos, aquariums, some sanctuaries. There's a lot of non-ethical sanctuaries, although there's a lot of amazing ones as well. But what we're doing is we're keeping these animals away from where they're supposed to be doing their natural work, which is where they were intended to be in nature. So an animal out of nature may be there, may be present. People may be able to go see them at the zoo, but first, they're not even going to be seeing the true behavior. But the other important aspect is that for every gorilla we have in a zoo, we don't have one out in the wild. And that means that we have less carbon sequestration, less biodiversity, and less forests. So it is actually not only important for us to get these animals back into where they belong, but it is essential to our survival. And that's one of the themes that we talk about in the movie. So, really, would love to hear other keystone species. We have decided as a production company that one of the things we want to do is focus on keystone species. So at the moment, we're about to release a movie on Harambe, keystone species. Then we have a movie we just shot with elephants about their importance in the wild, and also a lot of the tragic circumstances that they live in, and a lot of the heroes that are changing those tragic circumstances. Very amazing story. And after that, we have a movie that we've made about manatees that we will be hoping to bring more attention to them, as they as well are a keystone species within Florida, and essential. And actually, there's a very limited amount of them left. So there's a complicated conversation to have about that. And then, of course, we have bears in Romania that are being wiped out to illegal deforestation. So we really want to be focusing on keystone species. These are all movies that are going to be coming out very shortly. They're projects that we've been working on over the last year or two. It's a very challenging thing because we do a little bit. We tried Indiegogo, and I'll tell you, we just didn't really raise enough to do a production from it. So we've been finding ways to self-fund, and it's a little challenging, and it sets the pace a little bit longer. But we're very excited to share all these stories with everybody, because we always talk about the problems with conservation. We talk about what's wrong. We talk about what would make us cry that's out there. But what we don't talk about are always the solutions, and the fact that right now, even though we're here in a crisis, as stressful as it feels, remember that it's a very glorious time for us to be here. We have a chance to make a difference. We have a chance to change things, and we have a chance to make an impact in a time where it really matters. So we're lucky to be here at this particular time in the course of history, because what we do is amplified. Each one of our movements, each one of our ways of being is amplified through the world. And right now, the world needs as much help as it can get, as we're all aware. So, one of the things that we wanted to do was to focus on the keystone species, especially the ones that are headed towards extinction. Too many animals slip to extinction, and then people start noticing it when it's too late. So when do we move that bar back where we go, whoa, this is a problem, instead of waiting till there's 20 vaquita and they're now pretty much going to be gone? That's useless. So not only do we cause extinction, sometimes we seem to intentionally not prevent it. And I can't figure that out. So we really want to bring more attention to keystone species, especially endangered animals, not only in captivity, but being killed through the wild. So there's a lot of different options to talk about. And real quick, I just wanted to share with everybody, in case you haven't seen this scene from before, I wanted to share with everybody a beautiful scene that Jeff shared with us. And it goes back to everything being about the heart. You know, Harambe was all about love. What he did was very loving, the way that he tried to return the child to the parents. We'll talk more about that later too. But the way that we can change the world moving forward is through the heart, is through love. And this clip just has such a special place in my heart.
When I first met Harambe, lots of people knew him before I did. And like I said, he was a star before I got to know him. And people were telling me, you're really going to love him. And one of the things that people always loved about him was this beautiful heart-shaped nose he has. And they would just be so thrilled when I get a picture like this that would show the heart. He was known as Handsome Harambe.
So I don't know if you can tell, right behind me is one of the pictures that Jeff took of Harambe. It is the picture, actually, I believe that we based the poster on. But Jeff, when we were shooting the movie, he gave each of us one of those mixed tiles copies and he signed it. But I kept it in front of the computer while editing the movie to make sure that I had Harambe staring at me every day, and that what I was going to say and what I was going to do would be a true reflection of the spirit of Harambe and who Harambe is. So we can't wait to share the movie with you. It's coming out soon. We're going to make an announcement actually later today about how you can watch it, where, when, and all that good stuff. So again, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Keystone Species today, their importance, why they're important, how they affect climate change, and the fact that we need to get them, all these animals, back into where they belong, because it's not just that they need to be home. They need to be home so that the world works. So we can learn a lot about ourselves through them as we continue our journey all together. So it's wonderful to have this amazing eco community. It's great to see everybody again. Thank you guys for joining. Excuse me. Going to be going live every day. I know today was a bit of a surprise, but we're going to be going live every day. We're going to be having some special guests coming up, and we're going to just try to talk about different aspects that we cover in the movie, different aspects about captivity, and different aspects and different ways to think about different animals. Oh, hey, Tasha, so nice to see you. Tasha, if you get a chance, you should check her work out. She's been raising funds for a very important animal, the bear, and the bear over in the Carpathian Mountains, especially in Romania. And Tasha and I have been talking about a very interesting project that's going on over there. So yes, and she's always fundraising. All the money definitely goes directly to the sanctuary. It's a sanctuary that I have personally been to and shot a bunch of footage in, as well as Peter Egan being the ambassador for it. So it's really an amazing place over there, but it's another animal that we need to save. So many need our help, but in all of this desperation and all the sadness of everything that we work on, one thing is we find people that stand up and make a difference. I'm looking at everybody in the comments right now, and I know that each of you is one of those people, because I know that you've each moved mountains. So, you know, I'm really honored to be part of this bigger team of people trying to fight for animals, give them a voice, and give them, more than anything, a space and a place in our future, not just in our hearts. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. It's great to see everybody again. And I'll see you tomorrow for some more coffee, tea, water, or whatever it may be.